everyone, how are you? Happy Thursday. I have today off. So yeah, I thought, well, I want to do a nice long stream because I want to cover as much of this as possible. So I figure I am at my best in the morning and I have my most energy in the morning. I don't know when the fuck that started happening, but nonetheless, here we are. So I figured let's do a morning stream. So that way I'm not like an hour into it thinking, oh geez, I just want to go to sleep. But I may still think that, but hopefully not. So hey Sunny D, how are you? Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully though it's not too early for some people. Like I know like East Coast people, like most of them are getting up relatively soon, if not by now. West Coast is probably still in bed. But then I wonder does anyone watch me from other parts of the world? Like not Canada or whatever, because same time zones. But I wonder if there's like Australia or something. Wonder what time it is there. I don't know. Anyway. Hi, Shauna. Good morning. Canadian, what coast is the head? I'm on the East Coast. So, yeah, Canada's like all the coasts, really. Well, the two coasts, whatever. But all the time zones. We have different time zones in Canada, too. Right, yeah, I know. But this is what I'm saying. Like, so if anyone's watching me on the East Coast, then, Canada counts as that, and same thing with the West Coast. But I wonder if other time zones, like besides those that apply to this continent, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just across the lake. What lake? Oh, you mean pond? Because I do have a lot of lakes near me, so I don't know. It could be that. Ow, oh my fucking, I just hit my elbow. Oh my God, it fucking hurt. Son of a bitch. Okay, so, I checked out Katie Joy's live stream. She did a live stream for like the first time ever in a long while. And, oh, Lake Erie. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, then you're not too far from me. Actually, I want to do a bike ride along the Erie Canal to Lake Erie. I can't go from Utica to there though. It'll take me like a month or something. But I was thinking like starting like Rochester possibly, or like in between Syracuse and Rochester. And I don't know. But I'd want to stay in hotel rooms because I know that there's from like Syracuse westward, the locks and everything, like people do camp there. Like it's a common thing. It's not so common here around Utica, but out west more, it's more common. Like a lot of people do that. But I don't feel safe doing that. I'd have to stay in hotels, I think. I don't know. But that I hope to do that someday before I'm too old to ride a bike. Anyway, all right, so where's what I put that stupid video? Oh, I don't even have it pulled up here yet. My bad. 1 second. History. Here we go. And I don't have YouTube Premium at the moment. I let it lapse, and I had to put money on my card. I don't like to link my actual credit cards to anything, so I have a prepaid card that I put money on, and I don't even really put much cash on. Like I use Bitcoins, so I haven't cashed any of those in for a while. So I don't know. I'll get it eventually. So we will be having to deal with like 5 seconds of ads here and there. Okay, so for those who are not in the know, why is this? Okay. Oh, okay. Katie Joy did a live stream yesterday, and she did a live stream as she covered, well, lightly covered Ryan Reynolds' order or motion to dismiss filing that he did on the 18th now. Yeah, on the 18th. I also have a video coming out where I just read it. I just read the filing. That's it. It's all done. I have it almost all edited. It'll take me like 10 more minutes of editing and, to put like the beginning, the end on or whatever, and then upload it. And I will have that out at some point today, earlier than later, but I don't know exactly what time. So they will be coming out. But anyway, so Katie Joy did a light reading of this motion. And by light reading, I mean, she just cherry picked a sentence here and there that she thought she could kind of attach her own narrative to, in a sense. And I want to be clear about this. I am on no one's side here between the Blake and the Justin shit. Okay, here's the thing. This whole thing is ridiculous. Okay, even if everything Blake says is true, we'll just say that for argument's sake for now. It's fucking ridiculous that she's suing someone over that. And equally so, it's ridiculous that he's throwing such a fucking fit over that. Because, like, even if what she says is true and everyone learned or knew that it was true, so what? It's not going to hurt him at all. Like, maybe a little bit, people like be mad at him for like a month or two, but that's it. What he is being accused of is not that big of a deal. Sure, it may be rude, or maybe cringeworthy or crossing a line or a boundary or something, but that's it. I mean, I don't even want to call it predatory, although I know Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively want to call it that. And I understand why their mind is in that kind of frame, I don't know, mindset or whatever. But I disagree. So I just want to make that clear. So you're going to hear me make arguments here against Justin Baldoni's side of things or whatever, or and against Katie. But that doesn't mean that I am on Blake's side. She's just as ridiculous here. That's my opinion. Sorry. I just want to make that clear because people seem to be really passionate about this, and I get it. There's been certain like, I don't know, current event stories or whatever that I've been passionate about. So I get it. And I don't blame anyone. Hey, Al Capone. So, all right, I'm going to start from about I'm not starting right at the beginning. Where am I at? About 14 minutes. That's about right. We'll start there.
Both Ryan and Leslie
wait a minute, I want to speed this up, and I might take the image off the screen only because I don't know. I feel I have this just gut feeling or whatever for like the first time ever on YouTube that she might want to strike this shit or something. So I'm thinking maybe if I just play the audio and play it faster, it might. I don't know. Wait, there's subtitles. So we're going to speed it up a little bit because she can't get words out in a timely fashion.
Are playing this role of saying, on the one hand, I didn't defame you and you can't prove I ever said this. But on the other hand, if I did say it, it's true. So which one is it? Did you say it? Or did you not? Because if you said that he was a predator, especially a schmexual predator, and it caused actual damage to his reputation and he lost work, that's a actionable claim. And it doesn't have to be written. It doesn't have to be in a video. It can actually just be something that you publish by telling someone. And what Ryan was doing was publishing by telling people in the industry about what his thoughts were about Baldoni.
Yeah, his thoughts.
This is maybe because Ryan's not from the United States and he's from Canada. Maybe he doesn't understand how the law works here.
How many Canadians do you think are going to come for her? Like, because they don't understand the law.
He says Mr. Reynolds allegedly called Mr. Baldoni a predator, but the FAC alleges no plausible facts that suggest Mr. Reynolds did not believe this comment to be true. Okay, so first, again, he says that you're claiming that I said this, but if I said it, I believed it was true.
It's like she's never really grasped the concept of making a legal argument here. The whole point of Ryan's motion, his whole goal is to have this lawsuit against him either dismissed or just ruled in his favor. Just whatever. It's done and over with, and it affects him none. That's the goal. So in order to do that, you have to make an argument and for the judge to do that. And no idiot's going to sit there and make an argument based on one thing. No, you're going to probably lead off with your best argument, and then your next best one, if not this, then this. If this is true, then great. If not, then there's this. You give the judge as many reasons as you can to rule in your favor. This isn't like some kid who's in the principal's office who just can't make up his mind on what to blame something on.
Instead, the relevant FAC allegation suggests that Mr. Reynolds genuinely, perhaps passionately, believes that Mr. Baldoni's behavior is reflective of a predator. Now, reflective of a predator is very different than saying someone is a predator.
This is true. I have to agree with her there. However, there's been no receipt provided to prove or to show what it is Ryan is alleged to have said regarding Justin being a predator. I have no doubt that something was said. I have no doubt about that. But what it was, in what context, all of that will matter. And there's been nothing presented. So
even if the FAC plausibly alleged that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator while believing the opposite, which it does not. All right.
All right. I'm going to put the video back on there. I got pinned.
Believing the opposite, very different than saying someone is a predator. Even if the FAC plausibly alleged that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator while believing the opposite, which it does not.
Did you get that? I thought she was going to take a bite out of the fucking screen. Which it does not. Okay, I'm being petty, but it's funny. I don't care.
All right. The law establishes that calling someone a predator accounts to constitutionally protected opinion. Do you see how many different excuses he used in there? Okay, so in that one paragraph, he said that it's he can't identify a single time, place, or area that this was said. It's just a single incomplete statement. He believed it was true, but also it's constitutionally correct, protected speech. And then this is the part where I want to just say something.
And I find it incredibly just telling that as she's talking about this filing, she keeps saying he said, not the lawyer said, or the lawyer's penned, or whatever, or authored. It's he. Like, I think she really believes that Ryan Reynolds himself wrote this motion. Now, why is that? Possibly because, well, she maybe wrote much of her shit. I mean, she says she didn't, but we've all read her motions and filings, and, well, I would hate to think that that's what she's spending all kinds of money on for attorneys, if that's what they're producing. But I digress. I mean, I'm no attorney. What the fuck do I know, really, you know? So, yeah, but I find that to be kind of telling, I think.
This is where Ryan Reynolds admits that Baldoni has a thin skin, okay? So it says, and the FAC's thin-skinned outrage over a movie character that the satirical woke nice pool does not even pretend to be tied to any actual legal claims. Yes, it does. It's tied to intimidation, to the defamation side of things, and it's a tactic that they used to show the power that they had, which led to what Baldoni alleges was extortion. Remember, they dropped.
Is she saying that the character of Nice Pool was an intimidation tactic by Blake and Ryan toward Justin? I mean, don't get me wrong. Part of me kind of really hopes that that character was based on Justin. I'm sorry. I should be honest. I don't like Justin. I can't put my finger on it really. Well, I kind of can, but from the very first time I've heard him talk about some shit from his podcast and stuff, he's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I get a nice guy vibe from him. You know, that's it. You know, and I don't think that he did anything that would equal or constitute harassment to Blake Lively. I think maybe he made her feel uncomfortable, possibly, whatever, you know, and you could pin that on maybe it's him, maybe it's her threshold for being uncomfortable. Maybe it's both, whatever. But I do think that that's about all that happened. So yeah, and I don't think that nothing, whatever happened, I don't think it's even close to resembling anything like sexual harassment, nor do I think it's worthy of a lawsuit. But I digress. Here we are. So I just want to be honest. I don't like Justin. So part of me really, really kind of hopes that that character was based on Justin. I get it. People are mad.
Drop the hammer. But isn't it interesting that a man who is a
Show.
Democrat, Ryan Reynolds claims that he's a Democrat, but I don't believe that he is, would say something like thin-skinned? Isn't that? And then he's using words like woke. It's just a really weird dynamic for me. It almost sounds to me like he's like trying to say like, I'm not like Justin, right? Like Justin's a woke liberal. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to separate himself from that. It just seems kind of weird because like Ryan and Blake try to be liberal, and I'm not here.
Oh my God. I don't wouldn't if they tried to be liberal, seriously. Like I think that maybe they subscribe to certain idea, I don't know, certain like political beliefs or whatever that could be classified as liberal, but I don't think that they are the embodiment of liberal, nor do I think that they're even close to that. I mean, really, in all honesty, I don't fucking know, because I don't recall them ever displaying or sharing any such information. But apparently Katie's done a deep dive and she knows all about their past voting history and shit, but whatever. But I mean, woke isn't reserved for any party or anything. It's not even, I don't even think it's a political statement anymore. I think it's just I don't know. I think it's a term used to, by some, explain or describe some sort of trait of enlightenment, where others, it's used to describe some sort of trait of naivete, you know?
Here, by the way, to bring politics into it, but they just brought it in, right? So they said the woke nice pool, which is stupid. And instead it falls into the FAC's general allegations of hurt feelings. Okay, so I want to ask the chat, if you are Justin Baldoni, ooh, first new sub and great breakdown. Thank you guys. If you're new here, make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure to share the video. Let's get going. But my question is, thin skin is not the archetype excuse of the classic bullying, describing the victim as weak, literally telling us he's a bully. Yes, exactly, Riri. And I think it's just interesting that someone who's claiming to be a Democrat and someone who's like,
where does he describe or refer to Justin as anything like weak? Like, I mean, I think it's safe to say that Justin is anything but weak. You know, look at what he's accomplished thus far, whether it was warranted or not. It's still impressive, the hurt that he's put on these two, their reputations. So I'd say he's anything but weak.
I don't know if you followed Ryan and Blake, but they've been actively working on, Democratic National Convention stuff and campaigning. And it just seems like out of place for Ryan to be mocking a woke feminist man, because that's kind of what his party embraces, right? Why would you be mocking and making it satirical?
Does any party really embrace the woke? Isn't like, and I don't mean like just in the type of person who just understands or is compassionate or whatever. I don't mean like that. I mean, what's considered to be woke is like more of an extreme kind of personality. I think that's what I assign it to. I mean, is there anyone that really like claims that? I don't know.
That's someone that his party actually embraces. Why would you mock that? You should be so happy that a man is willing to do that, because there's not enough men that are doing what Justin does.
For the same reason that people mock you, Katie. That's why. Because you like to present yourself as some sort of champion or fighter or whatever for the less fortunate or some shit. Then you turn around and you victimize them worse than society ever could have. So, yeah, and you claim to do that out of a sense of liberalism or wokeness or, I don't know, something. But that's probably why.
And again, he's playing both sides of the board. I'm not being political, you guys. I don't care what side of the tracks you are. If I'm ever going to be talking about politics when it comes to this, it's always going to be in.
But I'm going to keep just pointing out how he's not a Democrat because he's using the term woke in not in a good way. But I'm not political or anything.
Regards to Blake and Ryan or Justin, it has nothing to do with me. I have zero problems if you're a conservative or a Democrat or an independent. Everyone is welcome here as long as everyone is kind to one another and accepts everyone's points of view. Okay.
Yeah, just do a Google search for her and like Trump and just read her shit.
Okay. So welcome to the people that are the first times in the chat. The chat is open to people that are become subscribers. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button and then wait 5 minutes and then you can join the chat. Okay. So I just think it's ironic here that he would say something like, instead it falls into the general allegations of hurt feelings, which in reality is nothing more than a desperate effort to advance the same curated bully image that Wayfair parties created and disseminated in the retaliation campaign they launched against Miss Lively in August 2024. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is a bully narrative? Do you think that Ryan doesn't understand what this looks like, what the optics of this look like to the wider public, that you used a platform through Disney, by the way, Disney. Hey, Disney, I have something to tell you, Disney. Your star of Deadpool used your studio and your money to bully another person in the industry. Disney.
Does she not know who the fuck Disney is? Like, Disney does that like before 9 a.m. What the fuck?
I'm talking to you, Disney and Marvel.
Egyptian, Roman, Greek toes, bunion or no bunion. Want to find your perfect flat? No stress.
I gotta get YouTube Premium back.
I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that Disney wants to be part of something like that?
Yeah, I don't think Disney gives a shit.
So I just wanted, Ryan wants to disconnect himself from this, okay?
A few little runners in the,
Okay.
But I want you to hear what he had to say about Nice Pool, okay? I want you to hear what he told this guy about why he needed to kill Nice Pool, who he, in his own admission, in his statement, he just said, this is Baldoni. He did not deny that Nice Pool was Baldoni. He didn't, right? He did not deny. So now listen to him in an interview with someone, I think from Budapest, Turkey, talk about why he killed Nice Pool.
Mobiles and John Candy. And there's the theme that I do end up killing myself at some point. But I loved killing Nice Pool because Nice Pool is, as much as he projected that he was wonderful, he was a terrible human being. And I like that Deadpool gets to lean into that anti-hero thing and gets to lean into his childlike desires. I want that. Be it Nice Pool's guns, his gold-plated guns, or his dog that really should be with Wade because the dog and Wade look the same. I like sort of acting out envy in that way because it's a very normal human feeling and it's something that is actually easy to play. And Deadpool's a guy that can kind of get away with it because his coping mechanism against shame is actually the same. Is actually Wolverine and Deadpool are the same. They both live in and chew and blow bubbles with shame all day long. My maladaptive coping mechanism is deflection and humor. His is violence. But there's more similarities than not. And
okay, so did you hear that? They killed. Why did they kill? Did anyone pay attention? Why in the chat?
Does she not? Okay, for Miss Research over there, investigative journalist, did she even bother to read up on the character Deadpool, on the comic book character Deadpool, or any of the stories or any of the characters surrounding him? Like, did she even bother, or just to get a basic idea for what the characteristics are of that person, of that character? Did she even bother? Because what he described is Deadpool. It's not some fucking jealous dude or whatever who's trying to, I don't know, intimidate some guy. No, it's, I don't know. It's the dickhead hero. You think about the superheroes and shit that we've known growing up, there's Superman or whatever, Spider-Man or the Flash. I don't even fucking know. Maybe even Thor a little bit, but Yeah, but I mean, they're all typical, they're all just like good, I guess, and I think they have a little bit of pride, like not a healthy amount, a little bit more than that. But then you look at people like, or characters like Deadpool and Iron Man, for example. They don't have quite as much pride, I think. So they're allowed to just like, I don't know, just not be so fucking uptight. The characters present an opportunity to write more realistic or more human relatable scenarios for the audience, and even just some comedy. That's what these characters are. And she's trying to turn this into something about Justin Baldoni. Like anyone gives a shit. I mean, it's crazy.
Did Ryan kill Nicepool in the film? And by the way, the character Nicepool that was in the film wasn't actually a bad guy. He unalived Nicepool because he was jealous. He wanted the dog. So who is the dog?
It was a cute dog.
He wanted the dog and he wanted the gold-plated guns. So
she's not going to call Blake the dog, is she? Please tell me she's not. Like, that would have to imply that Justin ever had her to begin with, for her to be the dog, right?
Who's the dog and who are the gold-plated guns? He wanted the dog. So basically, barking Blake, correct. BL is the dog. What is the gun? The guns are what? The movie. He's jealous. The guns are the movie.
What?
So Ryan is saying that he is jealous of Nicepool, and Nicepool is Justin Baldoni. So it all comes down to rage, selfish, like
okay, so I'm going to switch over to this tab real quick. I just looked it up here. Nicepool. And this is the link. I clicked this one because it looks like it's not something necessarily movie related. Definitely not scandal related, maybe. But it's a mercenary known as Deadpool. Okay. Who was banished to the void. In the void, Wilson went by the name Nicepool as a way to distinguish himself from other Deadpools and lived alongside his pet Dogpool. Unlike most of his variants, he did not possess any regenerative factor or superhuman powers. What the hell? Go away. I have ad blocker on. Why is shit popping up? Okay. Okay, there we go. Superhuman powers, which led to his eventual death at the hands of his own variants when another Deadpool used him as a shield for gunfire. Oh wait, this probably has to do with the movie because it sounds like it's exactly what happened in the movie. I wanted like some sort of written information before the movie. Nicepool and his dog, Dogpool, were banished to the void by the Time Variance Authority. It was there that Nicepool encountered the Deadpool corpse, and he came to know their power and threat. He also acquired a Honda Odyssey, which he named Old Betsy. I would have shot him for that alone, maybe. Yeah, like when was this written? I want to know. Let's see if I can grab a date from Page Source or something. If it ever loads. Come on, I just restarted my computer before. All right, I'm just gonna let this go for now. I don't need to know. Okay, now it goes. All right, yeah, now it's recent. Okay. All right, so I tried. All right, well, I'll go back to that another time. So let's go back to the stream. Oh, shoot. I wasn't sharing screen, was I? You guys didn't see it anyway. Okay. I have to remember that. It was just a Marvel cinematic universe fandom that I was on.
Insecurity, jealousy.
I am shocked.
Finally, a new alternative that makes liquid makeup obsolete. Women over 40.
Should I play this again?
No.
Thing and like gets to lean into his like childlike desires. I want
that.
Be it nice school's guns, his gold-plated guns, or his dog that like really should be with Wade because the dog and Wade look the same.
So he wants a gold-plated gun and the dog because the dog and Wade look the same. Now, theoretically, the dog could also be Colleen.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Wake. And we have
If you can't pinpoint who or what you think that dog is, then you don't fucking know. You don't know. And therefore, why are you even trying? Oh, I know why. Actually.
458 thumbs up, and I do not see. Let's keep going. Say this, gents and friends. What I'm really enjoying about this story is I have been able to meet a lot of really amazing creators. And actually, I spent about an hour on the phone with Eric, who is the producer guy for Ask Two Lawyers. And I'm going to be doing a collaboration with them soon, which was so fun to talk to Eric. We were like chatting about.
Hey, so to anyone who may watch this stream or whatever, either now or on the replay, I'm going to implore you, please, do not go and contact these creators that she's mentioning here. Do not. If you must do anything, if you just feel just compelled to, I don't know, try, just consider only maybe tagging them in a video that you think explains or describes or represents Katie Joy. That way they have the option whether or not they want to go and look. And if they don't want to, then they're not bothered or harassed. Because I know, and I've done it before too. I've contacted people before too. I get it. I'm not judging anyone, but I'm just asking because that gives her narrative. And I think that kind of helps push people toward her when instead of pushing the horse in the lake, just draw them a map to the water. You know what I mean? Possibly consider that. What the fuck do I know really?
The story and the court cases, and it was good to get an understanding of like where they're at, what they think. But I was super stoked because
Sorry, I wasn't looking at chat there for a hot minute. All right, so. Oh, thank you so much for the memberships, Purple Dragon Shield. So, Purple Dragon Shield bought 10 memberships, and let's see who won here. Al Capone or Dev, Hurricane K58, Reynold Smith. Hi, Reynold. Oh, Reynold, I'm planning on doing a live stream later about that thing you were talking about. Or the thing I was talking about anyways. Sunshine and Rain, Haiti Joyless, Laura 60, Angel Wing 77, Brittany Daniels, Barry Hotz, and Hybrid Pisces. So you all have a membership, and it's thanks to Purple Dragon Chill. Yay, thank you. All right. Hi, Michelle. Okay.
Been definitely consuming some of Stuart and Keith's content, and I really, really, really like them. I think they have this like super like low-key mellow presence, and they seem to be just like trying to stick to the facts, and I really appreciate that about them. So yeah, they have a good.
I'm loving this because we all know how this is going to end, right? We all know. I mean, if she, I mean, anyone's possible. Anyone's capable of change. It's possible anyone can change, I think. I am of that belief. Most everyone, including Katie Joy. However, if she were changed, we would see this in many other examples, like with her channel content, with how she's targeting and harassing and obsessing over these people. You know, this is all patternistic for her. So therefore, I'm of the belief that she has not changed at all, which means we know how this is going to end, right?
Yeah. So, but I also love that I subscribed. Oh, thank you. Okay. They seem like honest lawyers. Exactly. Eric's voice is dreamy. You know, Eric was super, I'm sorry.
It's a
I'm already feeling it.
Still on my second one. It feels like a buzz. Like it's hard.
I wanted to show you.
Okay.
Let's add this back up. Okay. So he says all of their other claims fail for a similar reason. So this is nothing more than a deferred. So he doesn't actually say that the satirical woke nice pool does not even pretend to be tied to any actual legal claims. Instead, it falls into the FAC's general allegation of hurt feelings, which in reality is nothing more than a desperate effort to advance the same curated bully image that Wayfair parties have disseminated in retaliation campaign that they launched against like Miss Lively. So he's not denying, right, that Deadpool and Nice Pool is him. All the other claims fail for the same reason. They say that Mr. Reynolds extorted them, but failed to allege that they received any money or property. Well, when they're trying to get a film from you, right? That's extortion. They claim he interfered with a contract without identifying what the contract is. That's not true. They identified that he had a contract with what? His agency, his talent agency. That's what he's suing him for. That's the claim. What provisions were?
I don't recall that. Is that what he's suing Ryan Reynolds over because of interfering with something with his talent agency? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, how does Ryan Reynolds have that power? Yeah, okay, people talk about him and Blake Lively, but especially him like he's some Hollywood powerhouse. I mean, I don't consider him B-list, don't get me wrong. I consider him A-list, but I mean, I wouldn't put him at Hugh Jackman level. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't. I don't know what level. Maybe like, I don't know. Maybe like Tom Hardy level. You know, not like Brad Pitt level, but like Tom Hardy level, maybe, you know?
Allegedly breached, and even which of them were parties to it. Bullcrap. This is Ryan throwing crap at a wall and pretending like we haven't paid attention to the filing. And he's just hoping that none of you have read the actual claim, because the claim is,
well, it's not about you or any of us. This was filed with the court. It wasn't filed with the public opinion or with YouTube or with me or her. He's not thinking about what anyone else says or does or thinks. And I mean, if he wanted to affect that, then he would do so like outside of the court. No one is paying all this money for attorneys and is putting all this stuff into boring ass motions that rarely anyone's going to really fucking sit there and read it. No one's doing that in hopes of swaying the public opinion in any way. If they want to sway that, then they're going to go to that arena and do shit. They're not going to do shit that no one is going to really have the patience or the attention span to pay attention to for long. So
is that Ryan spoke to who? The talent agent at the Deadpool and Wolverine, and was telling all of these people in the industry that Justin was a predator. And then he starts talking about
again, there's no context given with this alleged conversation. And I'm not saying that he didn't say something. I would imagine maybe he did if given the opportunity, or if the conversation arose. I think it's very likely that he did say something along that lines. But without any kind of explanation or context or claims really specifically, then what the fuck does it even mean?
the $400 million, and he's calling it hyperbole, prose, claims, blah, blah, blah. It's like, honestly, a lot of word salad.
It's a court filing. Duh.
So the FAC does not plead a single complete statement published by Mr. Reynolds. They only hint about purported statements that they allege to form the basis of the defamation claim. No, they actually in the FAC said that he told the WME agent that he was a predator. I'm actually pretty shocked that they went into this, because it's like all the judge has to do is read the First Amendment complaint, and he will actually see that this argument doesn't hold any bearing, because it's very clear what he said and who he said it to. He says that there's only two allegations that fit the descriptions of statements, and that was that Reynolds approached, and here he puts it in here, Reynold,
He didn't put it in there. He's pulling from Justin's complaint. That's what he's doing. He didn't put it in any court filing. He's pulling it from Justin's court filing and reiterating it here to help formulate his argument to dismiss against these claims.
approached Baldoni's agency, namely an executive at WME, and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, suggesting the agency was working with a sexual predator. A phrase that was coincidentally
Suggesting. How do you suggest that?
he later appeared in the press and at a later date amended that the agent dropped Baldoni. And what happened when they filed the lawsuit? They dropped him.
Can I just say something here though? Like, I don't know if this is true. I haven't followed up on whether or not he was dropped by the talent agency, but assuming that that's true. So there's that. So he was doing a podcast with two other people, and one of them was a female, and she dropped out of the podcast way back at the beginning of or end of December. And she confirmed that the reason why she was dropping out was because of all the recent, allegations and shit like that. But she didn't give any kind of hint, in my opinion, as to where she fell, on that fence, whether she felt more like this is all bullshit, that people are lying about Justin, or rather, there's some truth there, I don't know. Or she didn't even give any kind of inclination if she just fell in the middle either. But she did leave. She left the podcast. That's kind of big, I think, and especially that early on in the whole saga, because like the beginning of December or the end, I keep saying beginning, the end of December, I don't even think I heard about this shit yet, maybe, or not much about it. And here's someone is already dropping out of something in Justin's life. And then you consider like the whole cast and crew, when most of the cast and crew anyways for the movie, they seem to not be siding or supporting Justin's side, but do seem to be actively doing so on Blake's side, including the book's author. I don't know what that's about. I have no idea. But I don't know why. But I think that there is a reason why. I just don't know what it is. But I'm curious why that is.
It says, apart from these two statements, and then that Leslie Sloan went as far as to propagate that Baldoni is a sexual predator and that he used this to describe Baldoni when he called Baldoni's own agent. So if you're out there and you're listening to this, are you seeing that he's literally admitting that there's actionable claims here of what Ryan did? He spoke to an agent, right? He spoke to Justin's agent and Leslie Sloan.
I thought that he spoke to an agent, like an unidentified agent of that company. I thought that at least that's what I recall being asserted or whatever. Not that I think it really matters, but whatever.
This is the quickest way to pee out fat.
Good God, man. Stop eating those.
I'm sorry, who is promoting a channel?
Oh, I seen this clip.
Hey, Katie, it's me, Todd. Not sure if it matters anymore, but I changed my name of my channel and now I'm no longer a brunch. Oh, okay. Hang on a second. My husband just sent me a super chat.
You gotta send a super chat to get a brunch back. That's fucking funny.
Add as moderator. Okay. That's my husband, you guys. Okay. All right. So he admits that there's actually actionable claims here, which I think is very weird.
How so?
I think we should let's keep the politics out of things, unless we're talking about this video. This is not a political channel, and so I don't want people arguing in the chat about racism and politically speaking where racism comes from. Let's just keep things happy and on here. Okay, so Apart from those two statements, this is what he claims that Mr. Reynolds they've alleged against him. Demanded that the Wayfair parties publicly apologize for the so-called mistakes during production, was present during a meeting at the apartment that he shares with Miss Lively, at which he praised Miss Lively's version of a scene in Mr. Baldoni's presence, allegedly contributed some writing of his own to the script. Allegedly? Your wife said it on the red carpet. That's not alleged. You did that.
Yeah, but was it true though?
So now you're saying you didn't do it. Isn't it interesting how he wants to separate himself now from Blake? When they were on the red carpet, he was totally fine with Blake giving him credit for that rooftop scene, but now he wants to say that he allegedly did this.
Yeah, I don't think that that's
Admonished Mr. Baldoni for asking about Miss Lively's weight and demanded that scene be removed from the film. What kind of husband can do that to a boss, you guys? Like, can you imagine your husband or wife like calling your boss over and making a demand? Your husband or wife, not your husband or your wife asking your boss, but you demanding that your boss do, your spouse's husband or your spouse's boss do something. And attended a meeting with Miss Lively to address her allegations of sexual harassment on set and demanded that Mr. Baldoni apologize for his conduct. So if you remember, that's the day that Baldoni says that Ryan screamed at him. But that meeting wasn't supposed to be that, right? It was supposed to be a return to work. Unfollowed Mr. Baldoni on social media and included the nice, cool character in Deadpool and Wolverine, which that the FAC alleges was meant to satirize Mr. Baldoni's persona as a woke feminist. So,
see, and it's kind of true though, because I mean, like, it's one thing to be supportive of things that involving inclusion and ending discrimination and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Just don't be a dick. That's everyone should be like that. Don't be a dick. But then there's the extreme ones in that sense where I don't know, they want to do the very things that they're fighting against to the people they deem to be resisting them. And that just kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
He's not denying this, though. Like, at no place did he deny that. This could have been an opportunity for him to say, which is untrue. But he didn't say that.
Because it doesn't matter. Where are we at? Okay.
Oh. Someone just showed up into my chat to ask me a question about my lawsuit. And it said that they heard I screwed up and I had to resubmit some things to the court. And actually, that's not true.
She deleted the comment, but yo, whoever you are, thank you. Just thank you.
We got some audio clips of Robert Shin actually making some confessions that would help my case. So we actually submitted additional information to the court. We didn't screw anything up. We just sent information to them because Robert was on audio confessing to things that he claimed that I defamed him with. So his own words. Okay. Yes, you guys, I am being sued by a cult leader, and he was in the docuseries Netflix.
That reminds me. So the last stream I think it was that I did where she was attacking that Stephanie McNeil. Well, I saw something posted somewhere where I think I know why Katie fucking hates her so much. Why does Katie feel so wronged by her? So, I don't know, slighted or whatever. It looks like Stephanie McNeil was one of the few media personalities who wrote about the 7M docuseries there, but not in favor of it and not in favor of the claims. I haven't read the article. I haven't found the article. I just seen a posting of a screenshot of it or whatever. But I saw that. I was like, oh, I got to look into that. So I think that maybe that's why Katie just fucking hates her so much. It's awesome.
This is Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult, which I worked on and helped as the archival consultant. And he's suing me and has been suing me for 3 years. And he has a group of people that defend him because they don't like me. Can you imagine defending a cult leader that's been accused of alleged human trafficking, sex trafficking, extortion, fraud, sexual battery, sexual assault, sexual harassment, workplace violence, gender violence? Can you
Well-
imagine defending someone that
Attorneys defend you.
is being sued by like 8 people for all these different things? Yeah, there's actually people that defend that. And if you haven't checked out the series, it's on Netflix. It's called Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. You'll actually hear from some of the victims of this group, and you can hear it straight from their mouth describe what he put them through. He sounds credible.
Hope this mascara never sells out. It's a lifesaver for those with short lashes. Recommended by
So here's the thing is the claims against Mr. Reynolds fail under both the New York and California laws. Who wants to tell Mr. Reynolds that his wife brought California claims to a New York court? Miss Lively, while the Wayfair parties appear to agree with Miss Lively that California law applies to the allegations in the case she filed, that does not answer what law applies to the Wayfair claims against Mr. Reynolds.
Wait,
You know, when I saw that part,
I don't know. Did she? I mean, what does that even really matter, though? And I thought that when she was talking about the California shit, I thought it was like a response motion, but maybe not. I don't remember. I don't know. I actually read all of the major filings in this case, but they just kind of all bleed together now.
when I saw that statement, you guys, when I saw that statement, I had a light bulb moment.
Oh, God.
Did Blake Lively file this with California claims, knowing that they might push back and file a motion to dismiss? And she did this intentionally, right? Filed the wrong state in New York. Did she do it technically so that they would have a reason to dismiss the case so it wouldn't have to go forward? So they could argue for.
Wouldn't she just not file the fucking case then? If she didn't want the case to move forward, wouldn't she just refrain from filing the fucking case? I mean, that seems to be make way more sense than hoping that the court rules for dismissal. I mean, sure, chances are they would, but you don't know that. What if they didn't? I mean, it just seems like it makes a lot more sense to just not even fucking do it to begin with. But I digress. What do I know?
For a motion to dismiss. And now that they're accepting it, now he's like, well, wait a minute. I guess they accept it from Miss Lively. Right? Well, it appears the Wayfair parties appear to agree with Miss Lively that California law applies to the allegations that she filed. That does not answer the law applies to Mr. Reynolds. Here's the thing. I'll tell you something. Blake will not be able to argue this. Okay? Because Blake filed California claims against.
Well, I mean, it's not her motion. It's Ryan's. So,
them. And so, because Blake brought California as the forum that she believes is the proper state, where the laws apply for hers, she has to accept the California laws that they've brought against her. She doesn't get a way out because she's the one that introduced California into the.
Has she tried to argue to get out of the whole like California adaptation here? I mean, has she tried? I mean, that just seems like a weird thing to talk about. Like it's not relevant.
Case.
That's my dog.
It is. I've never seen anything like this, you guys. I've never seen
In all of her years of practicing, I mean, getting sued.
someone start a case and want it to be like this thing where it's like you bring in a different state into generally, okay, you guys, when you file a lawsuit, federal or state, you usually file based upon the state that you're in. You don't go to New York and file California. Now, the only reason you might do that in this case is that
Yeah, she see how she looks up. She knows that what she's saying is not about to make sense.
some of the conduct happened in California. Wayfair is in California. But what I think is odd, though, is why didn't Blake bring this case to California?
But didn't you just say that she kind of did? I mean, she brought California into the case, and she's, going under the I don't know, the ceiling of like California statutes and everything. So wouldn't that mean she did. I mean,
she went through the process of getting a CRD, filing for the civil right to sue, but then she never filed in California. Instead, she went to New York, and she never got a right to sue in New York. She never went to the steps to get a
what? Why would she?
federal right to sue, by the way. And instead of going to state court, she went
A federal right to. Federal right to sue. I don't think that applies to like civil lawsuits unless the civil complaint is based on a federal law or something. And I think it might even have to involve a federal agency. I'm not sure about that one. But I mean, there is no right to sue in New York. What the fuck is she talking about?
went to federal court.
And I mean, if she filed the fucking lawsuit in New York, like she's claiming, well, then obviously she didn't need the right to sue because it's filed and it's been accepted. So, oh my God, she didn't get the right to sue in New York.
It also doesn't make sense. Part of me believes that the lawsuit was just like this thing that they filed because they were like, okay, we have to file it somewhere. Let's file it where we can.
Because they were like, we just have too much fucking money and our reputation is really looking good right now. So we need to fix that shit. Is that it? Come on.
Get it tossed out. I mean, I don't know if that's true. That's just kind of like, yes, she lives in New York, but if she lives in New York, she should technically be using New York law. Feds are closed courts. California does allow cameras, so they probably wanted to stay away from the cameras in California for sure. And federal doesn't, but you could have gone to federal court in California too, because California law is, or federal court, no matter what state you're in, doesn't allow cameras.
Yeah, but New York State allows cameras in, don't they? For the state court, don't they? Yeah, I think they do.
But California has a really strict anti-slap law. And maybe she was trying to avoid the civil extortion. I don't know. A lot of this case doesn't make sense, and I've covered a lot of them.
I've been in a lot of them.
He says, Mr. Reynolds was never an employee of Wayfair Studios, nor did Mr. Reynolds ever have any contractual relationship with Wayfair Studios, and therefore no contractual choice of law provisions apply. Wasn't it Mr. Reynolds that his company, Maximum Effort, was the marketing manager for this film?
They were something, but not for Wayfair. Like, didn't they work with Sony or something? Like, it wasn't done with Wayfair.
Mr. Reynolds must have had a contract of sorts with someone in order to be paid for marketing of It Ends With Us. The defamation claim fails as a matter of law. It's fatally deficient because the FAC does not identify a single alleged defamatory statement. We've already talked about that.
Have you ever seen the magic glasses that can see clearly without glasses? This glasses can not only...
Hi, Bean.
Blah, blah, blah.
Hi, Michelle. I think I said hi to you, but if not, hi.
Okay. He claims that he is being accused of calling him a predator, okay? And that they're not, he says the sole allegation as to the executive statement provides only slightly more detail, namely that Mr. Reynolds and an unnamed executive at WME had a conversation during a movie premiere about Mr. Reynolds' deep disdain for Baldoni, suggesting the agency was working with a predator. The FAC does not allege the precise term Mr. Reynolds used and sentence in which they allegedly suggested it. So what he's doing here is these are technical arguments. These aren't actual, like, he's fighting about semantics here. He's not saying he didn't say it.
He's not fighting this. His attorneys are, and that's what they fucking do. That's what they do. Like, they analyze everything.
He's trying to get this out on a technicality. And I'll tell you one thing about federal judges is they will not throw shit out on stuff like this, because what he's arguing here isn't a question of law. Okay, he's actually fighting about a question of fact. And a question of fact is not allowed as a motion to dismiss before the case gets to litigation. There is no, there's absolutely, you can't argue about the statement of facts because at this point in the case, the court has to accept that what is in the complaint is fact.
No.
So the only way that you can dismiss is if there's a
law the court
that you can get a tech
has to consider the claims. And then as the process goes on, then it looks at the evidence and support of the claims. And then decide, like, what's a POC?
technical dismissal out. You can't argue facts. You have to argue the technicality of the law.
Now the law is a technicality.
Okay. The FAC does not allege what precise term he used in this alleged suggestion, the sentence in which the alleged suggestion did, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Reynolds dislikes him for having sexually harassed his wife. Okay. What did he do to his wife?
The things that she alleged in her complaint. I mean, whether or not it falls or constitutes actual sexual harassment is another story. I'll give in to that, but still, there were things done that she felt were things to be discussed and brought to light. There were things done that made her feel uncomfortable, right or wrong, made her feel uncomfortable. And therefore, her husband was made aware of this. So.
They're not defamatory because they're opinion. Okay, so did you see this? He just spent like 5 minutes explaining that he didn't defame them and he probably didn't say it. Okay. And it was never said. But now he's going to say that it's an opinion.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing, that the court will not dismiss based on this because
but they might dismiss based on the numerous other arguments he's made before and whatever's to come after this. That's why you make all the arguments.
Not going to dismiss it and say that it's a constitutionally protected opinion. And the reason why they're adding constitutionally in there, because they're trying to make this statement a legal technicality, and it's not going to work because it's not a constitutionally protected opinion to run around and tell people that that's a direct competitor to you. Wayfair Studios is a competitor to Maximum Effort. You have to think of it in these terms. He's a direct competitor. And so he's running around to people in the industry and he's telling them that Justin Baldoni is a sexual predator and you...
Running around. Well, then why are there not more examples of him having done this in this filing or in one of the filings? Why are there not more witnesses coming forward saying this is what he was doing? And if he truly believed that there was something wrong with Justin and that how he treated his wife was just not right, well, then him sharing what he knows or what he's experienced, rather, I mean, privately, in private conversations with individual people or whatever, I don't see how that's not protected,
Shouldn't work with him. So it's not an opinion, but he's saying, but even if he said it, it was an opinion.
I mean, it's kind of a dick move.
The First Amendment principles ought to be obvious and even celebrated. A group of litigants who have spent most of the past few months calling Mr. Reynolds and his wife bullies and liars. Well, I mean, if the shoe fits, right? He also wants to call it hyperbole. Mr. Baldoni may not appreciate being called a predator. Those hurt feelings do not give rise to legal claims because name calling does not reflect a fact, but a non-verifiable view. So really what's happening here throughout this claim is that Reynolds is literally admitting over and over and over again that he's a bully. So he's literally admitting that. Huh. Okay, so let me get this straight though. Like, seriously. So someone who speaks out in private conversations, on behalf of his wife and alerts those who are maybe colleagues of his in the same industry, alerts them of what he knows about this person. He's a bully. But a YouTuber who goes on her public, large platform on YouTube to name someone who she accuses of committing a horrific crime against her, even though that the police investigated and found nothing
to substantiate her claims. And then she also dragged the investigator in that case there and accused him of being corrupt, among other things, simply because he didn't find or he didn't believe her at her word. Would that person be a bully? Because, I mean, if what Ryan here is doing is a bully, then surely that YouTuber far surpasses the word bully. No? Because that was a public accusation on a large platform against a private person, right? And a police officer, a fucking victim's advocate too, even. I mean, if he's a bully, then what the fuck does that make Katie?
I mean, he's obviously contradicting himself a lot. Okay, so we've seen some of the contradictions here.
Hi, Bruce. Good morning.
Now he's back to during a phone conversation with Mr. Baldoni's agent and at a premiere. So here's the weird thing, because first he said he didn't know when these conversations happened, and now he's saying that he does know that it happened on a phone and at a premiere.
He cited part of Justin's motion or complaint there in this one, stating that this is what he's being accused of right here. These are the only two instances in which we could find in his complaint that would remotely relate or whatever to what his claims are. It's got to be one of these two things that he put in his complaint. Nothing else in his complaint is applicable. So, I mean, it stands to reason that it's not as though he can't remember or whatever. He's just trying to look and find where they're basing their claims from, because he can't guess.
And he's saying it's fatally flawed under the opinion doctrine, and that he has a First Amendment right to hold this opinion about him, or he believed that he sexually harassed his wife in deep disdain. Do you notice that he says deep disdain a lot? Deep disdain. I never saw that in the First Amended complaint. And the FAC does not allege any plausible facts that would remotely suggest, let alone establish, that anyone interpreted Mr. Reynolds' statements as reflecting anything other than his genuinely held belief that this was his character. Well, did you all hear the podcast with Ari Emanuel, that's the head of WME? Did you hear what he had to say? He said he was going to ride or die with Blake and Reynold and Ryan, because he's been with them forever, and they're huge moneymakers for WME, because WME is his talent agent and they get a huge cut when he makes money, right? So,
all right, so let me get this straight. So she wants to give this talent agency shit for siding with those with the most power or money or influence, or those who will not squash their business. Like, because they have a choice here. They can try to choose self-preservation and go with the side that they think that that's most likely to happen on, or they can just roll the dice and go with the other side for whatever reason. How is that going to help a business at all? I mean, whatever. My point is, though, is that she's going to give them shit for this. But how many companies, brands has she pressured and sent her viewers and her followers to go and pressure to drop certain people? Now, when they feel the pressure of the public coming down on them, and then they drop the one who's not getting the pressure and seemingly has less power, well, that's okay. But when they do it here, no, that's just not right. Like, you can't have it both ways, man.
In the 1970s, Patagonia was founded with a mission to save the planet. Sure, they made gear at the time.
He's wanting us to say that that's an opinion that he said to a talent agent. And Ari said that Justin was a really bad guy. If everything that what they're saying is true, Justin's a really bad guy. Ari wasn't on set. So that tells me that Ari's opinions about Justin have been formed by who? Ryan Reynolds. Even if they were verified.
I mean, there was a lot of shit being said. How is that coming down on Ryan Reynolds? I mean, he maybe said something to an agent or whatever one time that, dude, your client, he's a predator. let's just for argument's sake, let's say that that's what he said. Okay. No, I think that for a talent agency to drop someone who's, I mean, not a huge moneymaker, maybe by comparison, but I mean, I think Justin Baldoni was doing fine for himself, and it's reasonable to assume that he had and has a future still. So why would a talent agency drop someone like that? Unless they had other reason, like, I don't know, maybe they just didn't want the drama, maybe something, I don't know. I just feel like there's more to this story, one way or another, in some fashion, just something that's not, some things really that aren't being revealed for whatever reason.
As fact, they are not actionable as defamation because they are substantially true. Okay, you guys, first it's an opinion. This has changed so much. First of all, he never said it. Now it's an opinion, and now it's a fact.
It doesn't change. Okay, the first argument stands, but then there's an additional argument, not a new argument in lieu of the old one, but one included with the old one. And then another one, and then another one, and then another. It builds, okay? It's like a building. It just keeps going up in like floors or whatever. That's what's happening. And it's easier to squash emotion with a big, tall building than it is with a little tiny fucking shit house, okay? So that's what he's doing. He's building an argument. Or rather, now she's got me saying he. The attorneys are building an argument.
Because under the law, a statement is true if the statement would not have a different effect on the mind of the reader that had produced it. And then he goes into these different Boys Will Be Human and Man Enough, the podcast. He says that he pulls out those statements about what he said. It says those materials with which anyone who knows about Ms. Baldoni would be familiar. And they use a source that's not sourced in the first amended complaint. And if you haven't watched Ask Two Lawyers and their sort of breakdown of this document, I would suggest that you watch, because they explain that you have to stay within the bounds of the first amended complaint and you cannot introduce sources that are not within that FAC. So this addition of Justin's statements that are not introduced in any of the complaints, and Justin didn't introduce into his, they can't use this. So he's technically...
How do you figure? I mean, Ryan is making an argument for dismissal. And one of his arguments he's making is that there was no actual malice, meaning he believed him saying that Justin was a predator. He wholeheartedly believed this, and this is why he believed this. So you have to establish that any other rational person would have reached the same conclusion if given the same information. That's what he's doing. And one of the reasons in which he reached that conclusion, he's arguing, is that he's learned of these past things. And she says these, okay, I'll let it play.
Violating like a rule of the court by doing this. And so a judge is unlikely to take this into consideration because it's not included whatsoever in his first amended complaint. They're trying to couch it around the concept that Justin brought up, that he has a podcast, but that's not really how it works. He can't go to a video then and say that this is, because he's not Blake Lively, by the way. Ryan hasn't filed anything against Mr. Baldoni.
No, but he's been filed against by Mr. Baldoni with accusations, and that's why he's had lawyers create this motion for dismissal, so he cannot have that filing against him anymore. You know, so I mean,
I put on so much weight from drinking alcohol, but hey, whatever. Okay, I'm freeing myself from alcohol.
Hey, whatever.
Lawyers must have said F it and gave him full access to writing these. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I agree.
The fact that she thinks that or agrees with that is just, I think it's just indicative that she does, in fact, write a good amount of her filings. It's crazy.
It is
what's ridiculous, though, is that she's doing it to save money or whatever, because she either doesn't have it or she doesn't want to blow that kind of money on something like an attorney, since her lawsuits seem to be never ending. So she's going to have to try to trim them down a little bit. Whereas Ryan, on the other hand, he doesn't need to write his shit himself. Why would he?
Dumpster fire at this point. It is. Okay, so he says, I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s. Now, this is the statement that Ryan is telling.
This, yes, okay, I read this part. Listen to what she says here, though, okay? Where she starts this recollection of what Justin says.
In the court, sure I have crossed boundaries. Okay, so he says, I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s. Now, this is the statement that Ryan is telling the court is what proves that Justin Baldoni is a predator. I'm sure I've crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and my 20s, not even thinking about it, simply because of the porn I was consuming.
Here, okay, so she starts that whole sentence. I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my whatever, simply because of the porn I was consuming. Well, here's the thing, though. That's not what he said. Like, okay, that's a portion of what he said, but she knowingly and deliberately left out the entire context of that conversation, the part that leads into that first sentence there. So, and it's from this video here, A Boy Will Be Human, a talk on healthy masculinity with Justin Baldoni. Let me get the transcript pulled up too. And we'll put on closed captioning. So, okay, so yeah, we'll go ahead and start we'll bring it back a little bit. Okay, so listen to what he says.
Friends have a phone and maybe you don't, and you're being shown things on the phone for the first time, and that's cool. And then you start to think that that is what women want. And, you know, porn, as we know, no means yes or try harder, right? Quoting our good friend Ted Bunch at A Call to Men. It starts to become very confusing, which is definitely something that happened to me. I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s, not even thinking about it, simply because of the porn I was consuming.
Now, let me clarify. I don't think what he's saying is anywhere near as bad as some people do. Okay, I think what he most likely means by crossing boundaries or lines is that when he was younger and, you know, he's making a move and the chick's like, nah, then he waited a few minutes and then tried to make a move again. That's what I think he's talking about in lines of crossing lines and boundaries. Okay, not that I think he was forcing himself upon every girl who looked his way. Okay, and I think that that's the problem is that a lot of people are taking that and running to that crazy ass conclusion, but I don't think that that's where it belongs. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, whatever. But bottom line here, though, is that I understand and I do believe that some people will hear what he said there and come to a different conclusion than I did. They will envision something much more extreme than I did, or see even a little bit more serious than I did. And I can't say for a fact or for sure that they're wrong. That's the thing. Okay. I just don't come to the same conclusion. But most importantly, though, why didn't Katie just play the entire clip here? Because what he says here that she left out, okay, is that he says, and then you start to think that that is what women want. And you know, porn is, as we know, no means yes or try harder. Quoting a good friend, whatever. It starts to become very confusing, which is definitely something that happened to me. I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s. And even thinking about it simply because of the point I was consuming, you are what you consume. Okay, so he's saying that the lead up to him crossing lines and boundaries is that it was due to something that happened to him, to his misunderstanding of what that type of relationship actually consists of in the real world. Instead, he's relating it to what he saw in these videos, or at least that's the excuse he's given. That's what he's claiming. I don't know. It seems like a bullshit excuse. It really does. Because unless people are going around shooting people up because they watch Lethal Weapon, I don't see how that's the case. Because, I mean, real life screams at you that that's not the case. At least They may not break it down and detail it for you. So, I mean, you may be confused about some things, but real life is not telling you to go around and literally like force yourself on women. I mean, it's not. It may not be telling you in specific details not to do it, and this is how you don't do it, but it's not encouraging people to do it. And he's telling the story as though he was encouraged and there was nothing to stop him from feeling that entitled. So I disagree with that. Whatever. I think that that's kind of a cop out. But point is, Katie didn't play that. She purposely left that part out. Why? Why do that? Unless you're trying to spin the narrative, you're trying to manipulate people watching and listening to you. You're trying to dictate and guide them to where you want their mind to be, not to where they make up their own minds at. That's fucked up, in my opinion. Whatever. And again, I wasn't showing that, was I? Damn it. Oh no, I was showing it. Okay. Yay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
He's also very mad about Miss Lively's character orgasm during a scene, admitting to telling Miss Lively that the onesie she was wearing underneath her jacket
Oh, I have
was
no
sexy,
idea, Bean.
admitting to casting his friends as the obstetrician in the birth scene, where he would have close proximity to her nude.
Oh, wait a minute.
Obviously, that the onesie she was wearing underneath his character orgasm during. I've crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and my 20s, not even thinking about it, simply because of the porn I was consuming. He's also very mad about Miss Lively's character orgasm during a scene, admitting to telling Miss Lively that the onesie she was wearing underneath her jacket was sexy, admitting to casting his friends as the obstetrician in the birth scene, where he would have close proximity to her nude, admitted to asking Mr. Heath to show Miss Lively his wife's post-home birth video, no denial of biting and sucking of lip when the script only states a kissing scene.
Well, why would Ryan dispute?
This is a weird addition. This is a really weird addition, because what does this do? What does this add for him? It makes him look like a jealous husband, you guys. If you're a director of a film and you're wanting a character to look a certain way and have a certain look, you're allowed to say things like the character's outfit should look sexy. Because
is that what he said? And by his own admittance, is that what he said? No. So the scenario you're trying to paint here is, again, another manipulation tactic to your viewers. You're trying to paint something that happened in a different color so people can come to a different emotion and therefore conclusion. When, again, I don't think that there's anything really wrong with this. I'll be honest. I think if Justin said this, so what? I'm of that belief. But the fact that Justin has gone so far into fighting against such a nothing burger seems very strange to me, but I digress. It's alleged that Justin told Blake that she looked sexy. Now, if you want to sit there and say no, he was talking about the character or he was in character. If you want to say that he was in character and talking to Lily, then show me where in the movie that scene appears. Because I mean, if that's what they were doing, they were running lines, they were reading lines, they were rehearsing lines, they were filming lines, whatever. It would be in the script. And it would be in the movie, would it not? If it's not, and there's no indication that they were in character, or he was in character rather, then he wasn't in character. And it wasn't a part of the movie, it wasn't part of the script. And I don't see anything wrong with him saying that. Don't get me wrong here. I think it's fine that he said it. Even if it made her feel uncomfortable, I don't think that that's that big of a deal. I'm sorry. He just said that she looked sexy. Okay? I mean, it's Hollywood. Anyway.
Because if you're trying to sell an image, which most movies are, it just seems really odd to me that Ryan is bringing up things like he's really clearly upset that he called his wife sexy. He's upset that he sucked and bit a lip, which I doubt that happened. He's upset about hiring someone to
where's
be
to
close
see
to
this
his wife's hand, like area when she was wearing briefs. Did anyone see the movie Deadpool and see what Ryan did in that film? Did you see the love scene in there? That was like full on BDSM. But hold on. Mr. Reynolds has a really
Sitting there and I take her top off, I take her bra.
Okay. Okay. She's an actress, okay? Now, I know she mentioned something about the orgasm scene. Well, allegedly, when she signed on to do the film, there was no such scene. And it was after she signed the contract and, you know, agreed to do the film, that then the scene was allegedly added, to which she then felt uncomfortable. She's allowed to do that. But more importantly, she was going to be filming a scene. She did film a scene where she's supposed to be, you know, portraying herself or her character giving birth, which means she was in a very vulnerable position, literally and figuratively, but definitely literally, with very little clothing on. Okay. And the little clothing she did have was like a sheet, basically, very non-protective, really. And instead of having a professional actor come in and play this role, like most sets would have, the director hired his fucking high school friend or childhood friend or whatever to come in and do it. I mean, it wasn't a dude like a fucking dentist or something. The one who did so he hires his fucking childhood friend to come in and then just plops him right down in between her legs. And then she's just expected to be okay with that. I mean, I gotta say, I don't blame her that she wasn't okay with that. I don't. I would much rather prefer a professional, someone who I could trust to have some sort of modicum of professionalism about the scene, about themselves while acting, rather than some dude you don't even know and who's a dentist, really. You know, I don't blame. And the fact that he didn't consider that or take that into account or even run it by her or anything, well, it's like he was just taking all the control out of that, you know.
Off, and she has the those pasties on,
right?
But she's drawing these adorable little smiley faces on me, and I forget every line in the scene, not just from this movie, from every other movie I've done, and I don't really know what I'm sort of going up. I'm nervous. I'm blithering on about.
So Ryan, of his own admission here, is admitting that when he was in a filming scene with Olivia Wilde in the film Change It Up, that he broke character.
Wasn't it the Change Up, not Change It Up, I think.
Okay. He broke character while he was in a love scene filming with Olivia Wilde and her top was off. And for some reason, he's telling this in a public forum where Olivia Wilde is not there to confirm or deny if this happened. The story is being told.
She's already she's shown to have no issue with the retelling of the story. I mean, does she even know has she read anything from Olivia Wilde? Seriously.
About her.
I mean, I love Olivia. Don't get me wrong. She's awesome. Okay. I'm not saying anything bad about her or anything like that. Don't take that the wrong way. And one of the things I think that makes her awesome is that she's just down to earth. Like this shit like this, she's cool about it. She'll joke about it. Does Katie Joy not know any of this? I mean, or is she just trying to make a victim again out of where there is not one?
His consent.
These high-waist stretch pants will make you look 10 years younger and slimmer.
Without her consent. He's admitting outside of Olivia that when the scene occurred, he had broken character. Okay.
He said that? I didn't hear him say
about nothing. And at some point in the scene, she takes my hands and puts them on her breasts. So they're there, palms are a little sweaty, don't know what's happening. And then at the end of the scene, I'm supposed to take them, and I'm trying not to look at her like a 14-year-old boy who just won the lady lottery. And
won the lady lottery. Is that what it's called? The lady lottery.
And I'm trying not to do it. And I take, at some point in the scene, I have to take my hands away. And I take my hands away, and I look down at my hands, and there's two freaking smiley faces on them.
So he's in a scene where he is supposed to be playing a character, admitting that he has broken character. He's extremely turned on. Because what he's saying, I have to pretend like I'm not a 14-year-old boy that hasn't won the lady lottery. So he's literally...
That doesn't mean that he... Okay. That means a blubbering idiot. Like he doesn't know how to talk to a woman or whatever. Like he's standing there with a naked woman in front of him for the first time, and he doesn't know what the fucking what to say or do. That's what he's talking. You know, boy, she sexualizes fucking everything. Oh my God.
Really admitting to Jay Leno that he was turned on. Turned on.
Did he say that? I didn't hear him say that. I did. I heard him make a joke about just being dumbfounded or whatever, but I didn't hear anything about him being turned on. I mean, does she just associate every reference to a 14-year-old boy, old boy, to having a hard on? Is that what she's doing? Anytime she hears 14-year-old boy, she just thinks hard on. Is that what she's doing?
I want to see, what year was this filmed? The Change Up, I think it was called.
That was a while ago.
I think this was released in 2011. So he was married to Scarlett Johansson. Did he even think about how Olivia would feel? Exactly. I'm a producer. It's an actual job. Perhaps BL&R should have to read a book. It's an intense story. Do they not know what acting is? I know.
And I have no idea what to do. So, you know, the scene is over now. There's 65 crew members around. I mean, there's all these guys. There's like the one, the jackpot. I'm sitting there and I reflexively, like an idiot, just put my hands right back on her breast. And I think I'm doing it to cover them up, but I'm like realizing right now it's a very fine line between chivalry and, you know, workplace sexual assault.
So he was on a set with Olivia Wilde, and after the scene broke and they said cut, he looked around and saw other men looking at her body, and he decided that he needed to put his hands back on her breasts, but they were not filming anymore. I doubt that's actually what happened. I doubt that's why he put his hands there.
I doubt that this is actually like really all of what happened too. I think this might be exaggerated a bit, but assuming it's not, well, the reason why she was bare was because the pasties that she had put there are now stuck to his hands. So what do you do when you see something that really should not have been removed, get removed by your palms? What's your first initial reaction going to be? It's going to be to put them back. Now, for granted, it's maybe a shit reaction. Okay, I can see to that, but it's not at all an irrational or unlikely reaction. I mean, but of course, Katie has to see it as something sexual. And then the comment he made there was a joke. Sorry, was a joke. He was saying, and I think this is what's going through my mind. I'm thinking that's why I did this. Why I put him back there was to cover her up. Yes, that's what went through his mind. I'm thinking this. But then it dawned on him what he was doing, the action he took, though taken for these chivalrous reasons, doesn't change the fact that it's still an action that might be an act too far. And he's thinking to himself, there's a fine line between chivalry and workplace SA. And he kind of made a joke out of it. Okay.
But, you know, when you think of what he's trying to accuse Justin of doing, right? He's trying to say that he bit and sucked a lip, right? He called a woman sexy.
I'm pretty sure he's not necessarily doing the accusations there. It's his wife, because his wife was the person who received these things or whatever. So yeah.
Ryan,
if you hate constantly being swarmed by ads, you need to download Pi. It's a free Chrome extension that blocks ads on all.
Just literally admitted that you groped Olivia Wilde on a set and that you broke character and were aroused during a love scene where you were supposed to be acting.
Okay, so for granted, I think most actors might get a little aroused during such scenes, you know, I mean, unless they're like a dead fish or cold fish, like, just saying. It still doesn't make it right, but I'm sure that it's kind of like a workplace hazard, but people don't lose their fucking minds over it, you know? I mean, it's a physical reaction. Whatever.
It's wild, you guys. He also brings up Baldoni's porn addiction, which again has absolutely nothing to do with this. None of this is in his First Amendment complaint literally all of this is just crap he probably wants the public to consume so that he can further smear him. That's my opinion. He links all these different podcasts as evidence.
But that's what he wanted, then he would be just putting the shit out there in the public. That's what he would have been doing all along, instead of putting it in a court filing. I mean, he's being accused of defamation, basically. So he has to show that the things he said were based on the things he learned, and they were genuine, or him believing it was genuine anyways.
So he's taking conversations out of place. I was introduced to it when I was 10 years old. He admits that you're right, as a Black man or you as a woman, you have had to put up with a lot of shit from people that looks like me or from me.
Wait a minute, wait, what page is she on? Fuck. Okay, 21. I see something here. Okay, she's not saying the whole complete sentences, like the addicted to porn part. Here, I can do this. Oops, wrong one. So she says, or he says rather. Let me go up here. These materials with which anyone who knows about Mr. Baldoni would be familiar include numerous admissions to behavior that could reasonably be described as, quote, predatory. And then the motion goes on to list such examples. And it says, see example, Jane Randall, Boys Will Be Human, a talk on healthy masculinity with Justin Baldoni. And it says March 7, 2023. And then in parentheses says, saying that, quote, I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s, not even thinking about it simply because of the porn I was consuming. And now Katie tried to minimize that, but I played the entire, conversation, what led up to that and everything. And clearly what he said was, I don't think it was that concerning, but I can see how some people would think that was concerning. And I can't say as though they're wrong. And then it's the Man Enough podcast, changing the narrative, YouTube, yada, yada. And then, quote, I grew up and I had an addiction to porn. I was introduced to porn at 10 years old, formed these neural pathways in my brain, and it caused me to see the world very differently. So he's admitting that he was subjected to something so long and at such an early part of life that it possibly changed the way his mind thought. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But and then A Life of Greatness, The Power of Being Enough, July 2021. And for me, it was really tricky because I believe that there's a link between our culture and porn culture. I'm not calling out the porn industry, calling out my relation to it. But I do believe that especially the porn that young boys are watching is very violent. And because no one ever sits us down and teaches us about consent, we learn it through porn. I find it refreshing that someone is admitting to this, okay, coming out with this. And he deserves some credit for that. But it doesn't change the fact, though, that he could possibly have still been influenced by some of this to this day. Maybe knowingly, maybe unknowingly, whatever. But I'm not saying that turned him to an essayer or whatever. No. Maybe just a bit insensitive to things. And the fact that he's touted himself as someone who's the most sensitive to things, when I don't think that's the case, but he's touted himself as such, that when a woman publicly challenges him on it, this is where we end up. this is what gives me that feeling about him, is that he claims to be this ally for women, and it's all about their trials and tribulations and their experiences and their anguish. And it's all about listening to them, you know, even when it's about you. But yet when that happened, this is the extremes. He went in the other direction. Why the fuck is that? Especially when her claims were so much of nothing, really. I mean, she wasn't claiming that he got physical with her or anything like that, or that he legit hit on her or any shit like that. Just that he said a couple things that were, you know, inappropriate. I mean, so what? Why couldn't he not just say, listen, man, I don't see where I've done that. I don't necessarily agree, but if anything I did do caused her to feel that way, you know, unintentionally, then I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that. And like, leave it at that. He wants to point out how if she had only just taken like the criticism she was getting months ago gracefully, then we wouldn't be here. Well, the same goes for him. If he had just taken this shit gracefully, we wouldn't be here. Both sides are fucked up, I think. That's my opinion. All right, I'm going back.
Your entire life. And again, it could be a laundry or it could be microaggression for racism or sexism, whatever it is. I've done all of them. Or that he wanted as a man to claim her publicly. On some level, I knew it would make me feel more like a man about wanting to claim his wife publicly.
Wait a minute, I missed that one.
While it is unclear to what the predator means to an average listener, it is quite clear that it is no discernible distinction between the gist of Mr. Reynolds' purported statements and the behavior of which Mr. Baldoni has repeatedly confessed to in public appearances, including he spent years of his life mistreating women, which he attributes to his lengthy addiction to pornography, as well as openly describing his distorted conception of consent in relationships. So this is the evidence that Ryan Reynolds is using to make people believe that he's a predator. And he says that the average...
No.
It might be unclear to
the
average
I got pinwheel.
listener. Well, what does that mean? It means that Ryan's brain made up something that didn't exist. Because I want to ask you in the chat, this is what he referenced. Let's add this again, okay?
You are what you consume. Sure.
This is, you guys, this is a statement that he says proves...
We're going to rewind here for a second.
Sure.
This is up something that didn't... What does that mean? It means that Ryan's brain made up something that didn't exist. Because I want to ask you in the chat, Mr. Baldoni has repeatedly confessed to in public appearances, including he spent years of his life mistreating women, which he attributes to his lengthy addiction to pornography, as well as openly describing his distorted conception of consent in relationships. So this is the evidence that Ryan Reynolds is using to make people believe that he's a predator.
No. Ryan Reynolds is not trying to make anyone believe that he is a predator. Ryan Reynolds is presenting information to the court to show that how and why Ryan believed him to be a predator. Therefore, what Ryan said or did not come from a place of actual malice, because he truly believed these things were the case. That's what he's arguing. He's not arguing that, listen, it can't be defamation or whatever because it's true. No, he's saying, listen, whether it's true or not, I believed it to be true based on these reasons. Therefore, it wasn't malice. Fucking idiot.
And he says that the average, it might be unclear to the average listener. Well, what does that mean? It means that Ryan's brain made up something that didn't exist. Because I want to ask you in the chat, this is what he referenced. Let's add this again, okay?
You are what you consume. Sure.
This is, you guys, this is the statement that he says proves that Baldoni, the average listener.
If you tried everything to get rid of dark circles under the eyes, watch this. If you're over 40, chances are you've noticed the dark.
The average listener, you guys.
It starts to become very confusing, which is definitely something that happened to me. I'm sure. I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s, not even thinking about it, simply because of the porn I was consuming. You are what you consume. It's that simple. And so many men, so many of us men, I would argue that in the high 90s are consuming it on a daily or weekly basis. And that is absolutely influencing the way that they see the world, the way that they see their relationship, and the way that they view women as objects and not people.
Parents need to have a.
So
he says it happened to me. So everything he's describing there, he's saying it happened to him, but she leaves out the reason on why, or the clarification, the confirmation that that's what he's saying. She doesn't play that. She skips over that and plays from like the middle part on. She did it again, only this time she did go back a little bit further, like, but still nowhere near enough. Like, instead of saying, I'm sure in my teens and 20s I crossed boundaries, she started it from what was it? That's what happened to me. Again. She knows that if she played the full clip there, she knows people will fucking see through it. And for some reason, she is way too heavily invested in this narrative and her being on the right side, or seemingly on the right side, and people believing her story or her take on things. Why the fuck is that? Why? This is what I've been wondering and everything. Like, I get that she just loves to hate on people. Okay, sure. But there's a lot of easier people to hate on than these two at the moment. So why is she so focused on this? And again, I am of the belief that it's because she's being paid to or enlisted in some way, shape, or form. My opinion, allegedly, whatever.
in any part of that conversation, did Justin admit that he did anything to a woman that was of a sexual nature?
Well, the beginning part of it was about porn and the whole, like, our culture and porn, pretty much, about how no means yes or try harder. And it's because of that he looked at things the way he did. It happened to him too. And therefore he knows that he's crossed lines and boundaries. So he may not state verbatim what she's suggesting he needed to state, but no, that's definitely what he said. Yeah. But by all means, don't give your viewers the entire information. Don't give them all the facts or the whole story. You pick and choose what you think your viewers should be able to see and just leave out the rest that you think they shouldn't. So therefore you can mold them and manipulate them to where you want them to be, because that's what this is all about, right? Come on.
Did he admit that he essayed anyone or SH'd anyone? No, he was speaking about...
I don't believe anyone accused him of doing that, so why would that be a thing?
The impact of specific content and how it impacts someone's mind to understand what consent is, and that no one taught him what consent meant.
Consent for what? Do you mean consent to go out to dinner or consent to borrow someone's car? Because I'm thinking you meant a specific kind of consent. Therefore, it is of a sexual nature, right?
So if you are the jury, right? So they're introducing all of this evidence. You're the jury and you get to watch this video, and you're supposed to run away with the idea that this is the statement that he's going to fall on his sword and say, this is why I know that he's a predator.
This is why I believe him to be a predator. That's what he's going to suggest. And also, this wasn't filed with any of us, with the public. This was filed with the court. So, like, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. I mean, you don't even live in New York, so why do you think you'd be called to the jury duty? Come on. I do, though.
This is the reason why people don't believe them, you guys. And then I just want to show you this clip I found of Ryan, kind of show to you just a little bit how unhinged he is. This was
was a little concerned.
This was an interview that he did with Andrew Garfield, who played Spider-Man. And it's an actor on actor. This was a couple weeks before Blake filed her lawsuit.
About the prostate, but it turns so I have a bit of that, but I don't have, that is just a poorly constructed self-defense, maladaptive coping mechanism. It doesn't, I have it's like, in movies when like there are two people struggling for control of the gun, and then suddenly the gun goes off and the lights go out, and for one terrible moment, we kind of don't know who's been hit. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's sort of like sometimes feels like my base emotion.
His base emotion, he says,
I like it like tic-tac-toe. Every step we take is tic-tac-toe. I like it.
Is wrestling with another person with a gun. And they don't know who shot who. Like he's a split personality.
What?
That's his base emotion. Like you're in a...
That's not signifying two different personalities. It's signifying like anxiety. Like, it is a joke. Like, it's self-deprecating humor. Like,
my base emotion, who's been hit. It's like that's sort of like, and then suddenly the gun goes off and the lights go out, and for one terrible moment we kind of don't know who's been hit. It's like that's sort of like sometimes feels like my base.
and what he means by for one terrible moment, we don't know who's been hit. He's talking about the audience because he said the lights go out and for one moment, we don't know who's been hit. Obviously, the two wrestling for the gun in this figurative example would know who's been shot by the simple fact that one of them would know they've been shot and the other one would know that they weren't shot.
Emotion. So I have all these other things that kind of
His base emotion. You guys, I don't even understand. What does that mean? I know. What does that even mean?
Okay, so that means that when you're not in your bipolar state, okay, allegedly, my opinion, but whatever, that when you're not high or low, or when you're not sad, or when you're not depressed, just your normal, average, everyday emotion that you just have inside of you as you go to work, as you go do this, as you go to the store, whatever. That's what he's talking about. He's saying that that's the base emotion. And his base emotion is so wrecked full of anxiety and shit that this is the scenario that he thinks of to explain it to people. Again, though, it's a joke. It's self-deprecating humor. I mean, I do that shit all the time.
Your base emotion is like, so you think you have like two personalities and they're fighting over a gun and you don't know who got shot, or are you scared? Like, what is the base emotion? Okay. I also want to show you something else. This is the video of her biting Justin's lip. She bit his lip.
What?
He's constantly in a state of fight or flight. He feels like he's losing control.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see him meaning that.
So I feel like Ryan is, it's just a mess, you guys.
I want to see that again.
Depravity. In control. She bit his lip.
Why is this so blurry?
She bit his lip.
I don't see it. I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, it could, but I don't definitively see it one way or the
Constantly
other.
in a state of fight or flight. He feels like he's losing control.
Or he's always at odds with himself, or at war with himself, like the having the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. Only his is a bit more violent than like your basic Flintstones clip, I guess.
Yeah. So I feel like Ryan is, it's just a mess, you guys. Depravity. Okay, it's depravity. Paranoid anxiety. So if his base emotion is paranoid anxiety, and Ryan has admitted that when he spirals out of control, he has the capacity to overblow regular
The all-new redesigned Halo Collar 4 is stronger and more powerful than ever. It now uses dual...
He has a He has the ability to blow things out of proportion and make things appear like there's danger or imminent danger coming when there's not. He has admitted.
You mean like accusing a man of sexual harassment because you allege that he just said the word penis in a like conference call type of situation before a live stream? Or do you mean accusing Amber Portwood of threatening you and threatening to hop on a plane and drive up to your house and come to your house, when in actuality what Amber Portwood said is that we, meaning her and her attorneys, we know how much you make, honey, and we know where you live. And the reason why we know where you live is because of something you're about to get through the courts, when that's what she actually said. But you envisioned something entirely different, to the point that you even contacted the DA in her case that she was on parole or probation, whatever it was for. Is that what you mean by always envisioning some dangerous scenario or whatever? Like it's like looming right around the corner and seeing shit that just isn't fucking there? I think so. Or the belief and the assertion that your neighbors were committing a hate crime against you by ripping and whatever, shredding your gay pride flag, when it was in fact just the Minnesota wind through winter that did it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could go on, for real. I could fucking go on, but you know, whatever. Okay.
That when he spirals out of control, it's like he's someone he doesn't know. He can create situations and danger that doesn't exist. So would it be wild to think that, you know, Mr. Reynolds decided that these things mean that Mr. Baldoni is a predator? ADHD doesn't do this to you, honey. I have ADHD and I don't go around accusing people of being sexual predators that aren't.
Who the fuck brought you up? Who's talking about you? And what? I'm sorry. It just dawned on me what she said there. Wait a minute. What did she say?
I have ADHD and I don't go around accusing people of being sexual predators that are not sexual predators.
She did not. Hi. I'm being gaslit right now. Oh, the cat's up there? Yeah. Okay. She did not just fucking say that. Like, oh my God. What? Yes, I know. She likes her little perch up there. I don't know if you guys can see the cat up there. No, you can't. You can't. Here. It's a little perch. All right. Okay, no, she just. You mean she's never accused like Preacher Boy of hurting his sisters that don't exist? Simply because, well, I mean, oh, here's the thing though, like the night before that, he was cool. He was fine. Hell, she invited him on her live there on Instagram. They were going to collaborate. They were talking about it. He was all good. He was fine then. But then the following day when he backed away, then he was raping his sisters. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, but she doesn't go around accusing people who don't, you know, fill that role or whatever. Sure.
Okay. It would be perverse to permit. So here's what he's saying. It would be perverse to permit Mr. Baldoni to build an entire brand complete with a podcast, TED Talk, and book off of his confessions of repeatedly.
Wait a second. 1 second, guys. That's my daughter. Sorry about that. What do you want, cat? This is why I streamed early in the morning, because I knew between the cat, kids, and whoever else, it's just
women, only to turn around and sue Mr. Reynolds for $400 million for simply pointing out in private what Mr. Baldoni has bragged about in public. But he said it would be perverse to permit. To me, this is like him saying that he wants to destroy Baldoni's brand.
What?
Right? Perverse to permit. It would be bragged about in public. For book off of his confessions of repeatedly mistreating women, only to turn around and sue Mr. Reynolds for $400 million for simply pointing out in private what Mr. Baldoni has bragged about in public. But he said it would be perverse to permit. To me, this is like him saying that he wants to destroy Baldoni's brand, right? Perverse to permit.
Where? Oh my God. Like, what kind of damage do you have to have in your brain for you to hear that and jump to that? Like, unless that's just what you would mean if you said that. I don't know.
He seems almost jealous that he has a TED Talk, a book, and a podcast. It's weird, right?
You don't think Ryan Reynolds could have a TED Talk, a podcast, and a book if he wanted it? You don't think that if he wanted it and he obtained these things, that they would not be hugely more successful than what Justin Baldoni has put out there? Nothing against Justin Baldoni, but I mean, this is Ryan Reynolds. Come on. Compared to Justin Baldoni, it's Ryan Reynolds. You don't think he could have these things and at a much grander scale? What the oh my God.
And he wants to put this out publicly? Why is it Ryan's business to tell anyone this? By the way.
You really are an idiot. Oh my God. He's saying that it would be perverse for the court to allow Justin Baldoni to put these things out publicly and then sue Ryan Reynolds for stating what Justin said publicly, for him stating it privately. That's what he's saying. So clearly, it isn't Ryan putting anything out publicly, nor is he suggesting it or even insinuating that. He's saying that he should not, it would be perverse for him to be punished for saying privately what Justin has put out there publicly. That's what he's saying. So let's hear this stupidity again. I just want to hear it one more time.
Talk, a book, and a podcast. It's weird, right? And he wants to put this out publicly? Why is it Ryan's business to tell anyone this? By the way. Oh, then he goes into about special damages. And he's trying to say that there's no actual malice. Nor do claims of, like Mr. Reynolds' deep disdain for the rage and wrath directed at Mr. Baldoni. You guys, this is literally the most unhinged document I've ever seen in my entire life.
What?
Oh, someone's from Ryan's greetings from Vancouver Island.
Cooking for one doesn't make sense. If you want to eat better without wasting hours cleaning and prepping.
Does she think that that's Ryan Reynolds in her chat? Oh, look, Vancouver Island is the username. Therefore, it must be Ryan Reynolds, because who else would be here in my chat, right? Oh, my God.
If you're his attorneys, would you really want your client to be like Mr. Reynolds' deep disdain for and rage and wrath directed at Mr. Baldoni? Rage and wrath. So rage and wrath are irrational.
What the fuck was that?
So rage and wrath are directed at Mr. Baldoni. Rage and wrath. So rage and wrath are irrational feelings, you guys. It's not rational to feel rage and want to destroy people. That's not.
Well, it wasn't Ryan who even made reference to the word destroy people. That was made in reference to Justin. It had allegedly Justin wanting that from the PR company. So I'm not sure why she's trying to connect Ryan to this, because it wasn't involving Ryan. But regardless, rage and wrath are absolutely rational feelings when the act that inspired the feelings is of the same caliber. Now, rage and wrath might be a bit excessive and irrational emotions or responses to something like someone calling your wife sexy. Sure, I grant that. But the feeling itself isn't irrational unless the reason for the feeling is not at the same level. It doesn't meet. Then it becomes irrational. So yeah.
Something you would generally admit to in a court document.
I didn't quite understand the sentence, so I don't know if her interpretation of the sentence is correct. I don't even know. Maybe it's me, but the sentence just wasn't precisely telling me anything. I don't know.
He's admitting that he has rage and wrath directed at Baldoni. So all because Baldoni did a podcast where he talked about consent, and all because Baldoni, what did he say? What was that footnote again?
No, it's because he's of the opinion that Baldoni had crossed lines and boundaries with his wife and caused her to feel uncomfortable. And then in response to her speaking up on it, then formulated this entire retaliatory campaign against her. That's why he's pissed off. The reasoning for him thinking that he is, in fact, this predator is everything else in this document. Okay.
Let's go back to that footnote. These are the things that he seems to be really bad. Oh, Blake Lively orgasming in a sex scene. It's a freaking movie. Admitting to telling Miss Lively that the onesie she was wearing under her jacket was sexy. So what I'm seeing here, honestly, is that he is not separating Lily Bloom, the character, from his wife. He's not seeing Blake, the human, and Miss Lily.
No, I think what he's seeing here is the fact that his wife signed on to do a movie with the understanding of what was in the script. And then upon signing on to do the movie, part of the script changed, and then that scene was added. And his wife must have vocally shared with him how she did not feel comfortable about the scene, for one. And for two, she did not like how it was changed after the fact and without consideration really for her. I imagine that must feel like you are having all control taken from you, all choice taken, consent taken from you. Okay. So sure, she was in a position where she could turn it down or whatever. Absolutely. But she undoubtedly felt pressure. I mean, who hasn't felt pressure in any kind of situation where your work is requiring or requesting something from you that you are not prepared to give or want to give? And then imagine, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be sexist here. Imagine you're in this situation and you're female. Because yeah, there's a difference, because there just is. It's how we're raised, and it sucks, and it's bullshit. But still, I imagine she felt pressured, and she felt like she didn't have a choice or control. So he was probably reading that from her, picking up on it, and, well, reacting as any husband, caring husband would, right? Oh, and so yeah. And then again, to be in the scene of the alleged birth giving scene or whatever, to have your legs up in stirrups, to have no pants on, okay? To have the only thing covering your genital area is basically like a thick napkin or something, okay? And then to have some guy, not literally right off the street, but professionally speaking, right off the street, okay? Because he has no experience. He doesn't belong there professionally. He's only there because his buddy put him there, to have him dropped right in between your legs. Yeah, I don't care how professional she is of an actress. That's gonna very likely be an issue. And I can't say as though I blame her. I mean, I don't get me wrong. And if all these things are true, it doesn't warrant a fucking lawsuit. This is ridiculous. It is absolutely, it's a waste of time for the court, for everyone involved, whatever. It's fucking stupid, in my opinion. But because it doesn't warrant a lawsuit, and because it's fucking stupid, it doesn't really warrant such a huge over-the-top defense either. I don't understand either side in their extremity in response to the situation. It seems like dumb.
Lily Bloom, because he's not telling Blake that Blake should be orgasming. He's not actually saying that Blake should orgasm.
No shit.
Right? They're faking it for a scene for a character.
Okay, if that's no big deal, Katie, then by all means, how about you just take a walk down your street, hold up your camera, and pretend to have an orgasm with the first man you see walking down the street too. Just if it's not a big deal, if it's just acting, it's not, you're not really having one. Like hell, even do it without your clothes on, you know, just do that and see how vulnerable you would feel. Well, all right, I may be fighting a losing battle there.
But Ryan appears to be, the lines are blurred and he doesn't see Blake outside of the character. And again, telling Miss Lively that her character, this was all while they were filming, telling the character, not Miss Lively, casting a friend.
All right, so let me get this straight. You're alleging that Justin Baldoni told Lily Bloom that she looked sexy, or did Ryle? I keep calling him Riley. I don't really know what the character's name is. I'm going to stick with Riley. Or do you mean Riley is telling Lily Bloom that she looks sexy? In which case, where in the film does that occur? Because it's one character to another character, then it must be in the script, and they must be running lines, and it must have been filmed, and it must have been put in the movie, right? If not, then you mean Justin Baldoni is talking to a character, a person, a being that does not actually exist. He's talking to a fictional character saying she looks sexy. That seems plausible, sure. No, he was talking to Blake. And again, I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm sorry, I don't see anything wrong with it. Even in, you pile these things up, I don't see huge things wrong with it. I think providing the claims are true that other people have made and you compound them all together, I see a bit of a pattern that, yeah, it could be discerning, but nowhere near lawsuit worthy. It's ridiculous.
To be the
And I think her husband knows exactly who she is, and it's not Lily Bloom.
obstetrician. Okay, they're trying to make this birth scene appear really sexualized when it wasn't. Asking her to see a post-home birth video. You know what bothers?
They're not sexualizing it. It's not about sex. It's about power. Whether or not she had it, and whether or not she was denied it. That's what this is about. No way, shape, or form is this sexual. I mean, it's not about sex.
Bothers me about all of this, and no denial of biting and sucking a lip. You know what bothers me the most about this is this birth video. Ryan and Blake are trying to spend a lot of time making it seem like a home birth where you can't, there's like a towel over her chest, the baby's on top, she is not, you don't see anything. You don't see anything.
Did Katie see this video? I'm curious. How does she know? I mean, was Jamie or whatever his name is he now showing this video to fucking YouTubers? I don't care how cool he says his wife is about that. I think I might draw the line there, but I digress. Has she seen it? I'm guessing not. So she's making assumptions based on what she's making up in her head. So
there's a towel, a baby, and they're acting like that is somehow something that it's not. It's the same way that Blake's side is getting outraged that that Justin did the voice note and he said, "I'm sure you have a baby on the boob." Come on, you guys. Who is a breastfeeding mother? Who is a breastfeeding mother? I was. And baby on the boob is literally a phrase that you say.
Really? Is that what your boss said to you? One of your coworkers, is that what they said to you? Your in-laws, is that what they said to you? Your neighbor down the street, is that what they said to you? No. You know who says that to you maybe? Your husband, your sister or something, breaking your balls. But that's about it. Maybe your best friend. Your coworkers do not say that. Listen, I've been at my job for almost 4 years now. And there's a few people there who've been there almost or just as long as me or longer that I've come to see as friends and maybe even like family. But if one of them said something like that to me, that would, that would not be cool. And nor would they say that because it's not cool. It's not just something you go around saying. Like, are you going to go around to strangers and say, oh, look at you, you got a baby on the boob? Come on. No.
When you're a breastfeeding mom, it's not inappropriate to use that term.
It's inappropriate no matter what, breastfeeding or not, to use that term when it's your boss. It's, Jesus.
But they're trying to they find these little weird ways to try to sexualize things and that are not sexual.
How would that be sexual? Baby on the boob. Who thinks that that's a statement to depict something sexual? I don't even want to say the sentence. I'm so fucking grossed out at her connection there. Like, what? Who the
But Ryan can again admit to doing stuff too.
These soft stretch pants will make you look 10 years younger and slimmer. My mom used to wear jeans even though they always...
This document proves to me that Ryan really screamed at Baldoni in front of that Sony rep to the point that Sony rep felt that she should have intervened. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's all they have. Exactly. Exactly. Because that's all they have. Right. Exactly. That's all they have. Okay. Yes. And there's nothing sexual about a home birth. Thank you. He's gaslighting. He's in full on narcissistic collapse. That's right too.
Okay. I don't want to see some ladies or some woman's home birth. I don't want to have it surprised on me either. I don't want to have it shown to me to help me more convincingly depict a birth scene in a movie. I don't want to see some other woman's body doing that. I don't, unless I would choose to. And I have to be given that choice. It has to be presented to me. And without it, it's just, that's crossing the line. I really think so. I don't think it's lawsuit worthy, don't get me wrong, but it is a little crossing the line. Just like the whole, wait, maybe she'll bring it up. Let me see.
Blake was cool with running lines and things with coworkers in the room. If she doesn't mind, why should they? Yet Ryan spoke about the perineum. Yeah, he told Justin that if he could switch the schedule, he would get the main production line person that does the scheduling. He would get their face tattooed on his perineum, which is your taint in between your butt and your.
She should never say that again. But unless Ryan told Blake that her taint looked sexy, or if unless Ryan told Baldoni that his taint looked sexy, or unless Ryan plopped his friend right in between Justin's legs to pretend to be a doctor with almost no clothes on, unless Ryan's doing those things, then it's just a silly statement. He's not even saying, dude, Justin, I bet your taint looks sexy. I can't believe I'm saying these words. Okay? He's not. He's saying about his own taint, and he's not showing it or anything. What the fuck? How can you compare these two? Which still, they both are nothing burgers, but still.
Ryan brought that up.
Yeah, it was a joke. I don't think he's really going to get the tattoo.
Okay, so this is only, you guys, now what they thought about in the trailer is really important. This is a rumor, and we don't talk about rumors here. This was never verified in any article. There was no things in the Daily Mail. There was no people. There's no Reddit about this. This is some sort of allegation that came from a video by Candace Owens. I just want to know, I just want people to understand, I don't run with the rumor mill over on this channel. We try to stick to what's in the complaint. And there's this other thing happening right now with regards to Ryan's sexuality.
She's clearly putting on this fake persona for any new viewers or whatever she has. And I love that, because that just means over the next, like, probably month, I think I'm being generous, but maybe a month and a week, but I probably less than that. That just means that over the very near upcoming future, that it's going to all blow up in her face again when the real her comes out. There's a reason why she live streamed.
Well, I just think it's, I mean, even if he was, none of that's our business and none of it's relevant and it doesn't matter. So it's just like something to talk about that we don't need to discuss.
Is she talking about the ridiculous rumors about Ryan Reynolds and like Hugh Jackman or something? Like, no one actually believes that shit. They even play into it. It's funny.
Yeah. It's hearsay, but we do know that Ryan screamed at Baldoni per the amended complaint, the first amended complaint, right? So we can say that there were some screaming altercations. There were up to that he talked about. So
hi, Tex Max. Hey, Ace.
I'm not rocking with a lot of this AI stuff, but AI on Wix, now that's a vibe.
We just stick to the facts here. We don't get into the speculation. All right.
Well, why not just say facts, not fuckery? You know you wanna just say it.
He's really, he doesn't want to say how he caused injury by the predator statement. Well, you know, he owns a studio and they had projects that they lost. He lost his agent, his agency, his studio lost an agent. They don't have anyone representing them now. A bunch of projects have been dropped. He lost his podcast. He's trying to say that no actual malice happened here. He thinks that there's no relevant reason why 400 million should apply. Here's the thing.
That's not what he said.
There again, this is like a red herring.
I read the complaint. He's not saying there's no relevant reason. He's saying that it hasn't been precisely broken down to how they came up with that figure and who gets what amount of the figure due to what damage, etc. Like there's been no they have not shown their work basically on how they got to that solution. They've not shown their work, and that's what he's pointing out.
Okay, so like what he's doing is he's trying to focus on the 400 million, and the 400 million is kind of this. He doesn't have to prove anything for damages right now. Okay, he doesn't have to give evidence for why this number is, because it's like literally just a number that's put on the complaint. Okay, he doesn't have to. Justin doesn't have to argue why it's this number in his complaint. They will argue as they get into discovery and they go to trial why this number is relevant. And as they go through the case, they will be able to, at that point, discuss why this $400 million is relevant.
Yeah, but he doesn't give any
dismiss. It's really just a way for Ryan.
And it isn't just Justin. It's quite a few people listed there. And he's saying that all of them are entitled to this 400 million being awarded. Well, why is that? Why are all of them entitled to, or should they get this? In what reasoning is there for each of them? That's what he's asking.
To have this like temper tantrum about the fact that they're suing him for 400 million, and they're not going to.
I'm sorry. Maybe he should just reserve his temper tantrums for when he's being sued for 5 million. I mean, because
to dismiss a case because he picked an arbitrary number. Okay. They're not going to dismiss it because he's asking for special damages.
Well, no. Again, he's making all the arguments to hopefully show to the judge that this is how ridiculous this is. This is how much this doesn't apply for all of these reasons, and it should be dismissed. Maybe the judge will do it because of one thing they read, or maybe it's going to be the sum. But, I mean, it has to just, imagine, reach a certain amount of ridiculousness for them to pass it. And the more arguments you have, the higher you are to that threshold, I think.
I think if you were to look at the totality of what's happened to Baldoni's career, that number is probably on par with what the studio would have taken in. Think of how much money It Ends With Us made. $350 million at the worldwide box office. If you have multiple films that are in production and those both get quashed because of what Ryan did, all you need is a couple of those and it exceeds for.
Dude, like, I think that it's because this shit got out is the only reason why it did the majority of that income. I never heard of this movie before that. I barely even, I don't think I've ever heard of Justin Baldoni before like December, maybe. I never watched any of the shit he was in. But like, I think that's the case for a lot of people. It's because of this drama and shit that people have watched the movie and will watch the movie. So that's just a stupid argument, I think.
400 million.
400 million is a lot.
At this point, he's also had his reputation damaged so much that the sequel that he owns
Okay, I'm going to get real for a second. So
it starts with us. I mean, he owns the rights to this, and he could have easily made another 400 million on It Starts With Us. And that's just thrown up in the air, right? So truthfully, is it really that arbitrary when you're talking about Wayfair Studios? Yeah, he lost money on this film, the sequel, and other projects. Think about it this way. If there had not been the drama surrounding the press tour, what Blake was doing, this film probably could have made a lot more money. The film did well despite what Blake did, but I'm sure in the grand...
I'm curious. I'm just really curious of like, I can't really think of more than like 2 films at the moment, but I want to just make a list of like all the films that were, I don't know, in the box office basically over like the past 20 years that involved domestic violence. And I'd like to compare their numbers from the box office compared to this. Because I don't really think that female lead movies or even male and female lead movies involving domestic violence have really been box office money makers. I could be wrong. I mean, now that I'm thinking about like Sleeping with the Enemy might have been pretty good. I don't think I really like the movie enough, but I don't think that movie did very well in the box office. I feel like that this is a theme that not a lot of people rush out to see. So I'm wondering where she's basing this shit off of.
Scheme of things, there was a lot of people that were turned off so much that they didn't see the film because of the way that it was marketed. So the marketing,
even if that's true, for every one person who was turned out because they were throwing a fit or whatever because they, I don't know, like really liked the book, I guarantee you there's probably 5 people who did see it because of this shit.
Plan, it capped what they could have done, and her version of the film is what was released, which was not indicative to the vision of what Wayfair wanted. And it wasn't the cut that they wanted. It didn't have the music that they wanted. So honestly, what she did could have indirectly damaged how much this film could have made. I mean, if you are someone that was a Colleen Hoover fan, and
so it's 11:30. I am going to wrap this up because I have to get moving here. I want to finish this though. I'm planning on finishing this and doing something else later. But I'm curious though, how is it that according to everything we're hearing, like Justin lost control of the movie. He lost the movie. It was taken over. Blake Lively took it over, made it her own or whatever. Obviously, the movie is still like they're connected to Wayfair Studios and he's still profiting off of it. But how is it though that he lost whatever it is he lost as far as control goes about this movie? He was the director. He was the producer. It was his production company. How is it that she was able to come in and take all this from him to the point where she even rewrote and reshot the ending or whatever? Like, how did that happen? I mean, I don't think that he just like keeled over and let her do it. Okay. I think that's at least if he did, there had to been more to it than just, I mean, because this was like his passion project, right? That's what everyone's been saying. That's what he's been saying. And he had it like stolen from him or whatever. Well, why? How? Exactly. And if this is something that Blake and Ryan do, well, then surely they must have done this to a lot of other people in the past, right? Because they've been acting for decades. Like I remember Blake Lively in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants or whatever it was called. And I remember him and Ryan there and like waiting and shit. I'm sure he was in shit before that. I want to say he was in like some TV show or something. Was I don't know. Anyway, decades they've been acting. They would have had at least a little bit of a trail of bodies in their wake by now, right? Why is it that they don't? I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of shit missing out of this whole story. And it's not being revealed for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. On that note, I'm going to get ready. Well, wait, let me check chat though real quick. I haven't looked at it in a little bit. Let's see. We got. I think this drama is the only reason the movie made any money. I agree. In my opinion, Ryan is more likable. I had a sister-in-law who told me I should breastfeed in the bathroom. Yeah, I hear you. Justin is a little creepy, to be honest. Thank you. That's what I've been saying. Like, and I get that that's just my opinion, but he comes off as a quote nice guy, and I don't know. Maybe he doesn't mean to or whatever, but I just feel like that his over-the-top advocacy for women is a bit condescending. I think that he views like all women as like less fortunate in many regards, and that he's doing it all for the wrong reasons, even if he doesn't realize it yet. But I think that's the case. Just by the simple fact that here was an opportunity for him to practice what he preached, for him to be the change he wished to see in the world, for him to hold himself accountable under the possibility that maybe for whatever reason he just doesn't see it yet, but he might have been wrong. I'm not saying he was. I don't think he was. I honestly don't think he was. But I think it's safe to assume that Blake felt that he was. And for that reason, why would he not just be like, listen, I don't see it. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. So I don't agree, but I do believe that she does feel uncomfortable, and for that, I'm sorry. But that never happens. Instead, it's we're here. We're fucking here. Why? I don't know. Is Katie's eye still infected? My God's been. Last I knew it was still swollen. I haven't seen it though. Like I haven't. Well, I mean, I've seen her face like now, but I didn't pay attention to it. Yeah, Katie acts like she's a nun. Like what the? I have no idea if Emily Baker is covering this. I've been watching her Karen Reed content though. So. Okay. All right. On that note, I'm heading out. Thanks for being here, guys, and I will see you all later. Bye.